Good morning, everybody on YouTube. This is Rick Thomas from Obsolete Video Services. Hey guys, thought I'd post another update video on the VR Ampex 7500 color black and white machine. Just discovered something very kind of a pain in the ass thing last night that happened, and I kind of figured out why these machines were in such poor shape. Also, I understand why they went in for repair all the time, and about to walk through you guys about why the Ampex machines and these heavy-duty machines would be repaired quite a bit because they would break down. All right, I'm running a tape, as you can see, getting good video output, good playback, and everything else. But last night we were running a couple tapes as I was going through the machine, and I was running some tapes. I noticed that the video would start going out of sync, and it would start getting really weird and different playback issues and various different things. So as I was running the machine, we had a big problem. And normally, most people wouldn't think about this. Wouldn't think about this at all. These machines, like you know, underneath have a door, as you can see. Has a door on the bottom with a screen. And that's where your two little fans suck in the air to cool the machine. All right, the two little fans that they designed for this machine is not adequate for enough airflow through this machine. And the reason I say that is because my machine shut down in the middle of a tape, and because it got too hot, and that should not happen. But due to the poor design of the machine, I now know why it's shut down. So I started taking it apart this morning so I could fix the issues. And I got it back up and running again. And oh man, I'll tell you, talk about a nightmare machine. This machine is a nightmare. But anyways, you come up with solutions here and there. Well, we had two problems. The motor run cap that runs the scanner shorted out from getting too hot. And then you got your scanner motor, this is your MDA board that runs your scanner, and it backfired into this board, which shorted out a couple diodes, all because it got too hot. And it shorted out the motor run cap, and it shorted out the MDA scanner board. Now, normally that should not happen, but back when Ampex designed these machines, they did very crappy quality on quality control to address the heat factor. These things get very hot, and they should have designed much better cooling fans for these machines that could blow the air from the bottom, underneath the bottom of the machine, into the machine to keep the machine cool. They put these rinky-dink little fans on these things. Now I know why. Every time I find one of these things, the scanner doesn't turn on, or it just doesn't power up. And I've had several of these in the past year or two where they wouldn't even turn on. It's because they overheated. Now I know the main reason why these machines, when you find them, if they electronically don't turn on, that's the reason. Because they overheat. And when you overheat, the scanner motor won't kick in, or you could overheat the front boards, or usually you overheat the motors, which will burn out the motor run capacitors on the unit. Heat is a big problem with these machines. They didn't have proper cooling for them. So I'm just finding this out, and so we solved the problem. But anyways, I swapped out the parts that did shorted out motor run cap, and the MDA board. A couple diodes probably shorted out on this because of heat. So we got it back up and running, and I wanted to show you something very cool. You know, like I said, I can walk around it a little bit better now, and I could check it out on the scope and everything else. Now it's playing back fantastic. But the beautiful part about it is, I have underneath here, underneath this rack, I have two fans that are built into the rack that shoot the air straight up. And that was designed for my AV-5000, because the AV-5000 uses relays, and I wanted to shoot enough air into the unit from underneath. So what we did is, I put two very high powerful machine room fans facing upward through a pre-punched out hole design in this rack that shoots the air straight up, and there's two of them next to each other. So we took the bottom cover off, and now I got super high powered air flowing straight up through the unit to cool the unit. It's being pushed straight up into the unit to keep the motors and everything cool, because this thing will overheat big time. I was in the middle of a job and it shut down due to overheating, and that should not happen. There's fans on the unit, but it's very poorly designed. So it shorted out the MDA board and it shorted out the motor run cap. So I had to replace those to get the machine back up and running. So now, while I'm using the machine, I got it up on my two racks that are side by side, but I got two super cooling fans that shoot air straight up right into the machine to keep it cool. And they're 110 fans, so they're really powerful, so that's going to cool this machine down while it's being used. I just thought I'd show you guys this. These machines, I swear to God, were such a bad design. Ampex did not take into consideration the heat factor that these machines were gonna have. There's 3 motors in these things. You fast forward, you wind, and then you got your scanner motor. These are big, heavy-duty motors, and they get very, very hot. Why on earth would they not consider the cooling design on these machines when they built them? And they give you a little square with a screen with this two little fans. That's not enough cooling air to get into the machine to keep these motors cool. So, since I'm using this for production work, we're going to keep it up on my 2 racks here where I can use super cooling system underneath, which blows super powerful air from these 2 fans I got mounted on the upper pre-punched holes with these screens that came with these custom racks. So it's gonna super cool underneath the machine. It's gonna keep these motors nice and cool as much as possible with lots of air flowing through it while I'm running these tapes. That will keep the machine from overheating. These Ampex machines do overheat big time. And this is a perfect example. Yeah, I was just using it as normal on a sitting little rack and running a few tapes, and the damn thing overheated due to the fact that it's not enough cooling to keep these motors cool. If you don't keep this machine super cool with air flowing through it, you're gonna basically short out like a motor cap, or you're gonna short out your MDA board or any other boards. This machine gets very, very, very hot. So here's the case in point for you people out there who wants to get into production or ever get one of these machines. The Ampex VR systems, they do not have good cooling systems whatsoever. So I came up with a much better idea of having fan forced air into the machine, high-powered fans to cool the machine down when it's being used. And that's basically because the design is so very, very poor, the way to design these machines. But anyways, I thought I'd point that out to you guys. Ampex machines, they get extremely high temperatures due to the fact they have 3 motors running at the same time. And some machine rooms have adequate ventilation to keep machines like this cool. But a lot of these people would put them up on tables and use them in studios and didn't realize they had to have severe cooling to cool them down while you're using them. Like TV stations would put them on a table and connect the cables, but they didn't realize the cooling system the machine had was very inadequate. This is why a lot of Ampex Type A 1-inch machines would go in for service, due to the fact overheating was a very, very big issue. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I said, it could save you on repairs like this. I really didn't think it was going to be a factor, but unfortunately I was wrong. So I had to change out the motor run cap and go ahead and replace the MDA board with a good one, due to the fact things got so hot it shorted out components on both of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.